Sarah van Gelder is here. She's the editor and publisher of Yes Magazine, which is now celebrating what year, Sarah?
15 years, Laura.
Did you ever imagine you'd be able to keep this magazine going that long?
Well, sometimes we wondered if it would be around for another month, much less 15 years.
Tell me a little bit about your what you bring to the work that you do. When you were growing up, what was your idea of American democracy? What were you taught about this country of ours?
Well, I remember being a little kid who was very proud to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd put my chest out and my hand on my heart. And then I learned some things about the Vietnam War that I found really disturbing, and I couldn't quite reconcile that with my view of what this country was about. And then I spent a year living in India, and I found out that not everyone in the world lived the way we did, and I couldn't understand why some people were living in that kind of poverty. Other kids my own age were living in poverty, and I had everything I needed. So those were some questions that stayed with me as I was growing up until I had a chance to figure out what some of the answers were.
Well, let's talk about some of the answers. If you became aware that there was a problem, how did you come to understand that problem? How do you understand it now?
I think we have a global system that's distributing wealth really badly. So there's a few people who have way more than they need. And every encounter I've had with the super rich demonstrates to me that they are not happy people. It is not bringing them well-being. And on the other hand, being very poor is also not a happy place to be. Where people have the best opportunity to have a good life is where they have enough, and maybe a little bit extra so they don't have to be worried. But it's not having excess, and it's not being impoverished. So we can have a world where things are more adequately shared. I'm not talking about where everybody has exactly the same things, but certainly a world that is not systematically moving wealth from the majority of the people to a very small group of people.
Has it always been this way? Has it accelerated in the last few years? What's your sense?
Oh, I think it's been accelerating. I think every once in a while, like during the Gilded era, there was this time when corporations and a few wealthy people got way too much power, and it was all the wealth and power was continuously accumulating in a few hands. And then there was a people's movement, and it wasn't easy. It took years, but through popular mobilization, people were able to distribute more fairly the wealth of the country. And that's what it's going to take again. I don't think there's any other option, and there's no shortcuts.
In the context of that, why start a magazine?
Well, I think what we wanted to do is to show that there is another way that society can be organized, that whole question of concentrated wealth isn't the only way. And in fact, there's other issues that really weren't around during the Gilded Age. There's issues of hitting environmental limits. Even if we wanted to, we can't continue to consume the world's resources at the rate we're consuming them now, and we can't continue to pollute the planet the way we're polluting it now. We can already see the signs in species extinctions and in huge weather events related to climate change that we're hitting some very real limits, and you can't really negotiate with biology and chemistry. They are just real. And so we're going to have to adjust as a society. So what's a society going to be like, or what could it be like if we were to live a good life within the ecological limits of the planet? And the thing is that we're not going to make that up. We're not going to sit in our offices in Seattle and make up what kind of a world that's going to be. But people all over the world are in fact living that way. They're finding, especially the stories we're interested in are here in the United States, they're finding ways of life that are more satisfying and that are fair and that are sustainable.
So give us an example.
Oh, one of my favorite examples is in Cleveland, which is known as a Rust Belt city, where many, many people are poor. And so they started some worker cooperatives there that supply laundry and electricity to a hospital and a university. The hospital and the university aren't likely to go away anytime soon. The workers can provide electricity by putting solar panels on the roof of the hospital and sell the electricity to the hospital. The people in the neighborhood have jobs that they can count on, and instead of the money going to a distant corporate headquarters, it's going into their bank account so they know that they can put their kids through college and they can retire.
So that's a fantastic story. It has people, it has smarts, it has technology, it's kind of doable. Why don't we see stories like that in all of our daily newspapers and on TV?
I don't know. It seems like a no-brainer to us that that's exactly what we should be writing about. But I think there's a truism in media that if it bleeds, it leads, that people think that you have to stoke fear and anxiety and even hatred in order to sell newspapers. Maybe that's true. Maybe you can get wealthier by doing that. But think of the damage that it's doing to our society to have the only stories we're telling about ourselves be ones based on that kind of fear and division.
And I think there was a part of your story that had to do with money going somewhere as opposed to a corporate headquarter. At least one of those corporate headquarters, when you're talking energy, is General Electric, who's parent company of one of our television networks.
Yeah, I think that probably has something to do with it.
That's been another topic of Yes Magazine recently, and that's been life after Citizens United. Could you talk about that a little bit, the difference that Citizens United has made?
Well, I think we just saw the beginning of that difference in the 2010 election, where so much money that is not transparent, where people don't know its source, is flowing from very wealthy people and from corporations into these mystery organizations that can then fund election campaigns. So it will certainly be even worse in 2012. And when you have that kind of special interest money distorting our elections, we're essentially in the process of losing our democracy. If we can't deal with this issue, we are very much in danger of losing our democracy.
Our democracy relies on media, and 80% of the money that you're talking about goes directly to media, television stations, television networks. How can we tell this story if we can't rely on the people who are deeply invested in it? Because we can't rely on them.
That's right, and that's one of the reasons independent media is so important. There are people like Grit TV, there's people like The Nation, there's people like Yes Magazine, and there's a lot of social media, and that's one of the hopeful trends, is that so many people are seeing that it's part of their own responsibility to tell a different kind of a story. So their people are very interested, even if they feel that they can't do something at a national level, they may be organizing locally. And if we're to get a constitutional amendment to address Citizens United, it will take that kind of organizing in localities all over the country. So I think every community is going to need to be involved in some way in this conversation.
You hear regularly, I know, I see it in the pages of the magazine from people who read the magazine or look at your postings online. Is there one comment that you've gotten from a reader or a consumer, as it were, that stands out, that keeps you going doing what you do?
Well, we often hear from people that we give them hope. Because they've read the magazine, they're very aware of the big challenges and the big tragedies going on in the world. And they're people who care. And that by reading Yes Magazine, they're able to see that there's a place for themselves in helping to make the world a better place. It's not going to be done by people in Washington, D.C. or at the United Nations. It's going to be done by ordinary people. And when they read Yes Magazine, they see a place for themselves in making change.
Where can people get Yes Magazine?
Best place is www.yesmagazine.org.
All right, Sarah van Gelder is the editor and co-founder of Yes Magazine. There's more information at our website. You're watching Free Speech TV.